There's nothing like this. There's nothing, absolutely nothing like this in the defense profession. It's my life, but it's for the nation. Pride,
Pride.
pride in uniform, pride in the nation. That's the singular factor which makes them cut above all. We are even aware of what is happening in other countries.
That's cold. In today's episode, we have Group Captain Abhijeet Sarmandal, who is a retired Air Force personnel. He served in the Indian Air Force for more than 36 years. And इनके साथ आज हमने काफ़ी सारी बातें करी है. We talked about the perspective of life being in the Air Force. We talked about their families. We talked about the mentality which they have on their duty while they're serving for the nation and they have their families back in their home. We talked about geopolitics. We discussed about Indian politics. We even talked about the mentality which needs to be in the person, the basics which should be fundamentally involved in a person to join the defense and serve for the nation. We talked about discipline and punctuality and how does a military personnel, a person serving for the country in the defense, sees it. ओवरऑल ये पॉडकास्ट काफ़ी ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग है. देर आर सो मैनी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरीज, इंटरेस्टिंग एक्सपीरियंसेस विच ही शेयर्ड थ्रू आउट दिस पॉडकास्ट. So it's a packed with knowledge, insights, and a lot more things. So take a seat back and enjoy this podcast. The podcast with Group Captain Abhijeet Sarmandal begins. Group Captain Sir Abhijeet sir, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I am all good. आपने गदर 2 देखी?
नहीं.
नहीं देखी. देखिए, अच्छी लगेगी. बॉर्डर
हाँ.
देखी थी. कैसी लगी थी आपको बॉर्डर मूवी?
It was a good movie.
इट वॉज अ गुड मूवी. जो बॉलीवुड में ऐसी मूवीज़ बनती हैं, बॉर्डर हो गई, उरी भी आपने देखी होगी, और भी बहुत सारी बनी है. तो इनमें कितना सच दिखाते हैं, कितना गलत दिखाते हैं, कितना ऐसा रहता है कि ज़्यादा ओवर एग्जैजरेट कर दिया. लाइक उसमें कुछ है ऐसा?
बल्कि आई वुड लाइक टू से कि एग्जैगरेट तो हो ही नहीं पाता है.
ओके.
Because actual war, when you see, it is much more harsher than what they can really show.
Sure.
Because lot of bloodshed and all, when actually it takes place, that cannot be depicted. Audience won't be able to tolerate it.
टॉलरेट लाइक
Okay?
वो स्क्रीन पर नहीं दिखा सकते.
So rather it is made to make believe in this thing, whereas what actual things are there, they are unbelievable and only a soldier can do it.
Okay. What is the mentality which, like, how is that mentality created to hold or see something like that which you are describing, like so much of bloodshed? Like वो चीज़ आपको कहीं अंदर से ज़्यादा अफेक्ट करती है, या फिर आफ्टर योर प्रोफेशनल लाइफ इन द डिफेंस इज कम्प्लीटेड वो चीज़ें क्या बाद में रिकॉल होती है, या आर दोज लाइक नाइटमेयर्स और समथिंग लाइक दैट?
No,
नो.
not at all. No, they are not nightmares.
लाइक
That's the
ब्लडशेड
life.
या बहुत कुछ अगर इंटेंस एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट.
No, of course, we are also human beings. At times, when we lose our close friends, and we do remember them, and but they are not nightmares. Definitely,
Not
they are not
nightmares.
nightmares.
ओके. सर, हाँ, सभी डोमेन्स में, लाइक वेदर इट इज़ 9 to 5 जॉब और अ बिजनेस और इवन इफ यू हैव अ शॉप, वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस की काफ़ी बात होती है. लाइक इन द 9 to 5 दे से दैट यू हैव द वीकेंड टू मैनेज योर पर्सनल लाइफ और टू एन्जॉय द पर्सनल लाइफ. यू शुड कीप योर वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस. इफ यू आर इन अ बिजी बिजनेस, then you should take a tour once in a while. In the occupation, in the profession of defense, how do you see work life balance? Like वहाँ होता है, या लाइक इज देयर अ स्पेस, और वहाँ इस चीज़ का पॉइंट ही नहीं है या फिर जिक्र ही नहीं है?
नहीं नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. It is very much there, but within the own area.
ओके.
It's not like that कि whenever you want to go abroad or you want to go anywhere, like in civil life.
Hmm.
It is not exactly like that, but we do have our own social life within our own circles, and we do enjoy life also to the fullest,
Okay.
but maybe in a different way. Our families are also trained like that
Okay. By the situations?
by the situations.
Okay.
Naturally, they get trained and accustomed to that life. It is not a
Hmm.
formal training to how to enjoy life and all. Not a,
Hmm.
there is not a course like
Like
that.
that.
But yes, once you start living in that environment, you live that environment, you live that life.
The overall perspective of life, does it change for a person in the Air Force, in the Army, in the defense?
100%.
100%.
100%. Uh, First of all, it is not at all casual.
Hmm.
It's not at all casual. And it's a very, very disciplined life. Honesty, morality. These things are very, very different from the other side of the fence, I
Hmm.
would say. I will not say any other profession. I
Hmm.
will not comment on that.
Hmm.
But people in the profession of defense are way different in terms of morality, discipline, and honesty.
Like जो value system रहता है, it's so rigid and so strong. It needs to be.
No, it is imbibed in you once for all. You start living like that.
Okay. It's like
There is
inculcated so
nothing,
deeply.
see, when you talk about discipline or morality, there is no rigidity. You start liking that. You start following that. It gets into your blood.
Okay.
It is your everyday life.
Hmm. So, how does a defense person see discipline and punctuality? Like Joe consistency, like people everywhere talk about consistency, showing up regularly, even the students like us. And still, most of us are not able to catch it. Like
I,
showing up daily and
I
consistently
tell you,
doing that.
I'll just give you a small example.
Hmm.
This happened. See, I retired last year,
Okay.
and this hit me immediately once I came here.
Hmm.
Example was like that. I had given some clothes of my granddaughter's clothes, her uniform to
Hmm.
the local dhobi
Okay.
in the laundry, and he had given a time that he will give it back on Saturday.
Hmm.
No, it wasn't given.
Okay.
Sunday it was closed. So
Hmm.
Monday morning, I reached to his shop at say 8 o'clock.
Hmm.
At which time generally he opens between 7:30 and 8 o'clock.
Hmm.
As the school was at 9 o'clock, I went there at 8 o'clock. But that day it was raining.
Hmm.
So what happened? I just called him up
Hmm.
on his telephone and I asked him, "Bhaiya, आप आए नहीं?"
Hmm.
The response was, "It's raining." तो क्या मैं बारिश हो रही थी कि मैं ऐसे में आपको कपड़े देने आ जाऊं? Now look at that.
Hmm.
This is discipline, punctuality, and everything said in one this thing. There's nothing like this. There's nothing, absolutely nothing like this in the defense profession. That's why you see in our offices or in our units, there is nothing like punching.
Punching means
Uh, what happens in
okay, like
corporate world,
attendance and
corporate
yeah,
world
yeah.
for attendance,
Hmm.
they use the word punching na,
Punching.
with
Yes, yes. Hmm.
this thing,
Biometric system
biometric
and all of that.
system.
Yes.
Nothing is required of that sort. If it is 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning, if everybody is called for the health run, everybody is there at 6 o'clock. If 7 o'clock is the office time, it is 7 means dot 7.
So,
It can be 5 minutes early, but
Hmm.
nothing 5 minutes late.
Late.
Everybody is not there on time, including in the social gatherings. If
Okay.
time is at 8 o'clock in the evening,
Hmm.
it is 8 o'clock in the evening.
Like they don't see all of these things apart, like something they need to achieve or they need to catch up with. It's a part of them. It becomes a part of
It
them.
becomes part of life. It becomes part of life.
ओके, ऐसी कोई वैल्यूज या ऐसी कोई चीज़ें किसी ह्यूमन में क्या पहले से होनी चाहिए विच कैन मेक देम चूज आर्मी और अप्रोच आर्मी, और इज इट ट्रेनेबल?
No. There are certain things which are trainable. There are certain things which can be improved, but that is why the selection process, if you see, it's a bit long process in defense forces. Including your psychology is also checked, because there are certain things which are which should be naturally occurring in you, which are embedded into you.
For example.
It's for example, I would say like decision making capability, analyzing capability, the discipline, morality. Like if you see, morality is, you're already, by the time you're at that age, it has been already taught to you from your childhood
Upbringing.
upbringing. After a certain age, it cannot be taught to you
Externally.
externally.
Definitely.
Similarly, discipline is already taught. Certain disciplinary actions can be taken, but that is not permanently, it will not get imprinted.
It should be
It
inside
should
you.
be inside you. Courage
Courage.
is one factor. That's the most important factor. Courage. Now, nobody can be trained to be courageous, isn't it? Something like that. So there are certain qualities, so which psychologists check during the entire selection process.
Okay. So the officers or the people who are the part of the defense, is psychology a part of their training, like mind reading or something, like training their mind? Is there anything like that? Like, how do you control this? How do you separate your brain, your mind, or how do you work on your willpower? Is there anything like that, or something related to psychology, that human psychology, behavior psychology, and everything like that?
These subjects are touched upon during some training, some or the other training, but it's not the main subject. Which again, psychology is your own psychology. It is not taught to you,
Taught to you.
and we are not required to be trained psychologists.
Hmm.
And as far as training is concerned, the other training is everybody is trained for certain task,
Okay.
which is of defense. That's that's it.
That's it. तो ऐसी कोई जनरल ट्रेनिंग रहती है जो इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ देयर वर्क प्रोफाइल सभी को करनी रहती है टू मेक देम वॉर रेडी और
हाँ,
सिचुएशन रेडी?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
Like every person serving for the nation in the defense, irrespective of his or her work profile, is war ready always and capable enough.
Yes. See, what happens in defense, everybody in, let us say, in Air Force, okay, there will be different disciplines. Like I am an aeronautical engineer. There is I am from mechanical discipline. There is an aeronautical engineer from electronics discipline. There is a person who is flying. There is a person who is in accounts branch. There is a person who is in logistic branch. There are various different disciplines in which we have to work. That is our specialized domain, right? So people are trained in, for that is their profession, you can call it. Okay. So And at the same time, everybody is a soldier first.
Okay.
Everybody who is working in defense forces is a soldier first. So everybody is given training for soldiering,
Hmm.
and that is the general service training. That
Arms
is
and
given to
sab kuch.
each and everybody once you get inducted.
Hmm.
From there itself, you start undergoing your different professional trainings. Professional trainings, different capsules are given to you at different times of your different maybe depending on your seniority, depending on your job allocation, as as per that the training requirements
Hmm.
are met. However, that which I told you, the general service training to be a soldier first is given to everybody right in the beginning. It's like using weapons,
Hmm.
fitness, parade, general service knowledge, and all those things everybody is supposed to know, and every law. All these things are
Law.
law,
How come? Like law का किस way में law? In which form?
including, see, everybody, there is an army act,
Hmm.
there is an air force act, there are air force regulations, and of course IPC.
Hmm.
We as a civilians are bound by the IPC and the law. Similarly,
Hmm.
when you join the services, the particular service you are to follow that Air Force Act, Air Force regulations till such time you are in uniform.
Hmm.
The rules, they are slightly different than what is there in the civil life.
Okay. So, how is the professional life of the defense world? Like, what's happening beyond defense? How do you enjoy in your professional life being in defense? Or what's like a normal day? Not exactly the routine, but how do people make time for their hobbies or something of their interest? Like, you might have your own hobbies.
Mhm.
Is there any space in your domain, in your professional domain, to keep that alive or to have enjoyment in your professional space between your other friends and colleagues?
Okay, I'll give you my own example.
Okay.
I got a hobby of driving.
Hmm.
When I joined services, Air Force gave me an opportunity to participate in Himalayan car rally. Okay.
Hmm.
Can you see the trophies there?
Hmm.
Okay. So that I won after joining Air Force, and I was second national and fourth international driver in Himalayan car rally in 1989. So that was the
Impressive.
opportunity given to me
Hmm.
by Air Force only. Do I need to say anything more on this subject? That how
No.
do I maintain the balance between
Hmm.
my hobby and the professional this thing?
No, definitely it's completely clear. So like you have your own space and the professional life enjoyable.
Definitely.
Definitely. Um, it might be a little offending question, but I'll just risk it. In the normal world, like in the civil world and civil jobs, this side of defense, people who even choose to work what they like or what's their passion, they also some time or some at the some moment of the day they feel like I don't feel like doing this. I'm not, maybe I'm not feel I don't feel like doing this, या अभी मेरा मन नहीं कर रहा है, या अभी इच्छा नहीं है, या अभी बहुत कर लिया. These type of feelings once in a while comes, like the saturation point. Then again you push yourself and then you get back on the grind. Is there any scope of something like that happening in the defense, or it's like ऐसा कोई point आपके, या ऐसा कोई thought due to the training and the atmosphere आता ही नहीं है दिमाग में, ऐसा कुछ होता है?
Yeah, why not?
होता है.
Why not? Everybody is a human being. This is a part of psychology. See, we have got different kind of, very, very different types of assignment.
Okay.
First of all, there is no monotony. There is just no monotony in defense. We keep changing our locations, like you must have heard that we get transferred every 2 years and something like that. That is what is the saying in this thing. Now, what happens accordingly, once you change the location, once you change the unit, once you change the places and all those things, your work environment changes.
Okay.
The colleagues change, work profile may change, maybe little, maybe more, depending on what work you are doing. Number one. Number two, as per your seniority, you keep changing, they keep training you for your different assignments, and the assignment themselves change. So therefore, first of all, there is hardly any scope for monotony
Okay.
and getting bored. That was part of your first question. However, despite that, I would say at times, maybe because of certain reasons, what you said is that a person feels that I don't want to do, or I want to go home. At times this happens because, let us say somebody has got ailing parents at home, some pressing commitments at home, like maybe there are many people who come from the rural background and they have got cultivation at home to look after. There might be some other pressing requirements, social requirements at home, and there is a conflict because it is, see what happens in the another difference in the civil world and the defense. I have seen in civil world, in many a times I have seen, you go to civil some office and then you find that particular person who is supposed to be on that chair is not there on that day. Why? When you check up from the staff, then staff says, "Aaj to sab aaye nahi hai." Nobody knows till morning that he is not coming. Okay, that is not there in defense. So what happens? The leave also is very, very pre-planned and all those things. Now, when such kind of this conflict takes place between the social responsibility and professional life, at times when this reaches to a certain level, a person might feel that he doesn't want to work anymore in the defense because, let us say, he is posted to Srinagar in Kashmir and his family is, somebody is ailing, parents are ailing at Kanyakumari. He can't travel many a times, he can't take leave many a times. But then that is the time our colleagues, our seniors, the families, including families, mind my word, including families, because there is a lot of camaraderie between us. They pitch in, they help you to tide over the situation in all the possible ways. And most of the time, that's this temporary phase passes over and the person again carries on.
It's something which the people in this side of the fence, they like lack, majorly lack, because it's not the part of our lives, or maybe It might be the reason of the training part or maybe the work profile part which makes the difference. कि ये चीज़ यहाँ पे है कि you don't feel like working. जो मैंने ऑब्जर्व किया है, what pushes people to do is either their responsibilities, that they have their families or they have someone to look after, or money. These
I
are
tell
the
you
two factors.
what happens. The difference is like that. In civil,
Hmm.
when everybody says it's my life,
Hmm.
isn't it?
Yes.
And then this life is for me, and that's the end. It's my life. It's for me. How do I want to live? But the difference in defense is it's my life, but it's for the nation.
That's the
It's my
difference.
life. It's for the nation. It's for my organization. That's the difference. Everybody has got his or her own life,
Hmm.
but for the purpose is different. Here, the people have got purpose for themselves only.
Hmm. Like everything is centered around personal life and that. But in the defense, everything is centered around nation.
There are very few people here. Here, the his personal development is given more priority.
In this side of the outside of defense.
outside. I would say like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm. Definitely. सर जब डिफेंस में when you're working or maybe in the times of war or in the times of extreme, when some things go wrong or some things, like there is a hyped situation, so does the thought of family comes in the mind? Like it would definitely come, but then how do soldiers fight with that inside the mind, like the care or the love or the responsibilities of the family, of the children, of the spouses, of the wife, when such thoughts came during something where you need to be completely focused and determined, and there are a lot of things at stake, at risk, then how does a soldier resist those things and keep the eyesight at the aim, at the target?
It's part of training.
Like they teach you that thing.
Yeah, take it like that. Because I told you psychologically, first of all, psychologically,
Everyone
these
is
people are
human.
meant like this,
Hmm.
that they want to do something for the nation. That is part of psychology. So these are the people only who are
Hmm.
selected.
लेकिन उनमें वो
So first of all,
कैपेबिलिटी है.
this is already into their part that they want to do something for the nation. Now, part two, like I told you, is that certain parts they come with the training. They come with all the, I would say, part of the way we live life. It automatically takes care of such things. These are very small things in life. Family comes next.
Family comes next. It takes a lot of courage to build that inside.
No, it is already, it's
It's
already
already inside.
there. Like many a times it had happened when the family was not well, they needed me. But then at the same time, there was a call for some duty, maybe in the late. Suddenly in the late night, you get a call to go. Your small kid is running fever 104. But then you have to leave that, the wife, and go.
Think about the nation.
Yeah, you. There is no time of thinking ki they're going to. But at the same time, I told you, there is somebody behind within the organization who generally pitches in and takes care. There is a lot of camaraderie actually within the families also. If a soldier has to worry about what is going to happen behind him, what is going to happen for his family, then naturally he will not be able to. That is why it is said that they need to be taken care of.
Okay. So the department or the organization takes care of the
The whole
family.
nation has to take care
The
of
whole
him.
nation.
I would say the whole nation has to take care of it.
Yeah, because that man is taking care of the nation for the people, for the citizens. Definitely.
Once a person goes into the war, he may lose his life itself. Then who? Should that family be left for to fend for themselves? Or the country also has got some responsibility
Hmm.
to look after that family, isn't it? And that way I have found in our India, no, Bharat is very good.
It's
They
very
rise to the occasion. There is no dearth of that kind of feeling in the heart of a every normal Indian citizen.
they take good care of the family, or the respect is high.
Yes, we have seen.
I guess that the reason behind that is the
There might be
value system.
aberrations. There might be aberrations, but
But
generally, the Indian society takes care.
ओके, तो सर हमने डिफेंस के अंदर अंदर की तो बहुत सारी बातें कर ली. अब इफ वी स्विच द टॉपिक टू द ग्लोबल सिनेरियो,
Okay.
what's happening worldwide in the domain of air force, like how the our neighboring countries, the countries in the west, countries in the north, and India itself, what's happening, how are they performing, and where are we leading towards? Because a lot of tension is going on in the global politics currently for the past few months.
Mm-hmm.
It might have decreased a little bit, but there is some hidden tension. So, what role is Air Force playing, and where do we stand, and how do we stand?
We are one of the leading air forces in the world.
Okay.
As far as our professional capability is concerned, we are amongst the best. There's no doubt about it. It's not only Air Force, but our Army, Navy, everything is amongst the best. Okay. So when the requirement comes, we are ready. There's no doubt about it. Now, what is your exact question?
Um, is there anything like which Air Force is much better, or what is the power defining
Standing.
factor? Yeah, standing or power defining factor of Air Force.
Okay. See, one way of judging or giving the numbers is the strength of the assets and personnel.
In terms of numbers,
In terms of numbers, like Navy, how many ships, how many they got, how many submarines they got. Similarly, in Air Force, how many fighter aircraft and all those things. You can equate, just equate,
maths.
and number of personnel, maybe in Army, how many tanks and all those things. This comparison is generally done by many journalists. This is one way of doing it. But as far as the professional competency is concerned, that depends on the training and the human of that particular force, isn't it? There might be two armies which are similar in strength. There might be two air force similar in strength. But one, if it is more professionally trained, more professionally qualified, more determined, then I don't think that you need the answer that who is going to win, right?
Right.
But unlike in games, if you say ki, that is the number one air force, that is number two air force, that is number three ranking in the world, if you say there are certain people think that this is rank number one, number two, number three. Actually speaking, I personally feel that there is nothing like of that sort. Because unlike in sports, there are tournaments, World Cups, wherein everybody participates fights with each other, and then whosoever wins, he gets number one ranking, number two ranking, number three ranking, and so on and so forth. There are league matches. In defense, first of all, there is everything knockout. Even if you try to compete, though we have, if you try to compete with each other, first of all, there's nothing like it. They are knocked out. So that way there is no such ranking.
It's like a one-time game.
One-time game. Either you win,
Either
or
you
you
lose.
lose. Right? However, to judge the capability and improving our professional capabilities, there are exercises which are conducted with the friendly nation. Of course, you can't do this with the enemy nations to judge what is his capability. But with the friendly nations, we do conduct certain exercises. You might be reading in the newspapers and all things. Those exercises are meant for improving our tactics, strategies, and all those things.
Okay. The way this spy world, spying going in through the borders of the neighboring nations or any nation, then extracting out some confidential information, then working on that. Is the spy world really like that? Like, does those things really happen in the way they are shown, or in a much better way?
I don't think I'm professionally competent enough to or trained enough to comment on that.
Okay, like
Sorry.
not the domain.
No, it's not my domain.
Okay. The way, okay, so one thing which I would like to say, I would like to ask is, you said that one way of comparing armies is the numbers, the arms, what weapons they have, number of personnel.
Correct.
So if we leave that aside and if we judge on the basis of, not judge, but if we compare on the basis of moral value, courage, bravery, then it is very much seen that Indian soldiers, the people in the defense in our country, are much more proficient and they lie above the people in their competitions. So, what is that factor which makes them how they are?
Pride.
Pride.
Pride in uniform. Pride in the nation. That's the singular factor which makes them cut above all.
And that makes them push the boundaries and
Definitely.
reach high heights. Okay. So now I would like to draw two parallels. The time when people in the army, people in defense are serving, parallelly in this side of the country, elections are going. In every 5 year, government is changing, right? So the way people show this in media, like इन 5 सालों में ये सरकार थी तो हमारे डिफेंस में ये सब चीज़ें हुई, इन 5 साल में ये थी तो इन्होंने कुछ करा नहीं, है इनके इसमें ये चीज़ डिग्रेड हो गई, या इन 5 सालों में जब ये वाली सरकार थी तो ये चीज़ें हुई बट इनके इसमें ये चीज़ हुई नहीं. How much does it really matters, or is it just the bluffing which media shows? Like, does it matter which government is in the central, or which political party is in the central, or what's happening in the government side of the view?
Okay. Which political party, or that I will not say anything on that, because see, it is the country. We are a democracy. Is the country which elects the government, whichever party they are. Now, politics and governance, I feel they are slightly, they are different from each other. If the elected government delivers what is required to be done, then doesn't make a difference in the growth of the nation.
Hmm.
Now, what you said is that basically what comes in the media, that there are certain decisions
Hmm.
which are dependent on the political will,
Hmm. Yes.
and that may come from the different ideologies. We in defense forces are not bothered, or we don't comment on such things. It's the government which has to take decision. They are also equally responsible for the defense of the country.
Hmm.
We are the executioners.
So, what's the perspective of a soldier when he is in his uniform? When he or she is in their uniform on politics? What's their perspective on politics? Or does it not even exist? लाइक आपकी लाइफ में भी एक दिन तो है जब आपको बाहर निकल के वोट करना है,
Hmm.
देन दैट डे इज डिफरेंट एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट डे यू आर अ पर्सनल इन द आर्मी इन द
200%
डिफेंस.
what you said is that it's correct. As a person, as a citizen of this country, I too have got my own political inclinations, and I'm a voter too.
Yes.
So I will definitely cast my cast my ballot. But apart from that, once I am in uniform, I am totally a political person. I got nothing to do with the political dispensation which is at the center or which is in the state or whatever. I got nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with that. As far as I am concerned, I means any soldier is concerned, the President of India is the supreme commander. That's all.
Okay.
And our politics starts and stops there.
On the day on which you need to vote, like उस
That's
दिन
all.
के लिए you are a voter and then again you are a soldier.
That too, you know how many times we are at our constituency to vote for this thing,
Because of
and
the
the
tourism.
and the how much the postal ballot affects the result. Though we do that, we do take part in the exercise, but it is anybody's guess that how much the postal ballot makes changes in the results of the election.
Definitely. So it's like politically neutral when you are in the
Yes.
uniform. There are not even discussions, political discussions, or what's happening in the nation, what's happening in geopolitics amongst the
Geopolitics,
friends.
yes. Why
Geopolitics, yes.
not? See what is happening in Pakistan politically definitely affects our nation.
So it's like an interesting topic to discuss.
We are to prepare ourselves for those situations. It is part and parcel of our life. It's a part and parcel of our professional requirement.
सर टेक्नोलॉजिकली हाउ लाइक ऐसी कोई चीज़ें होती हैं विच आर टेक्नोलॉजिकली माइट बी एडवांस्ड, like technological advancement has been made but not shown to the eyes of the nation. Are such things happening for the betterment of the nation and to prepare or to strengthen the defense of our country?
Many things.
Many things are happening
Many things are happening.
across all the parameters of defense like army, navy, air force and paramilitary.
Definitely, we are advancing very fast.
And like it's the exponential curve, like rapid growth.
It's a subjective matter.
And if we compare that with other nations, Are we
No,
more
no. See,
feeling?
in any country, which nation? See, it's the requirement of that particular nation. There are nations who don't have the troubling
Hmm.
troubling neighbors.
Hmm.
They are not likely to go into the war for many years.
Hmm.
Why would they get into expenditure on defense?
Like the expenditure is
On the
decided.
other side, there are nations who are almost at war at every moment for years
Hmm.
together. They will have to spend a lot of money onto the defense. Defense budget is very high for them. So it is a matter of survival in this world.
Hmm.
And accordingly, you spend money on defense because otherwise, defense doesn't add to the. Actually speaking, if you take it in that, this thing, defense expenditure doesn't add to the prosperity of the nation.
Nation.
However, a prospering nation needs to maintain the defense services to ensure that that prosperity is safeguarded,
Hmm.
isn't it?
Like your doors need to be strong enough to.
Any prospering nation, there are people who would like to,
Hmm.
the other countries, they will definitely not like that country to prosper more than them.
So, what's the instinct of India's defense system? Are we on the defense mode, or we are on the attack mode, or are we on the if you hit us, then we will hit you back, like tit for tat? What's the instinct?
What do you
What's the
think?
nature?
What do you think? Have we ever, in our history, have we ever attacked any nation on our own?
No.
So that answers your question. That's not our philosophy. We don't go and unnecessarily go and attack anybody.
Hmm.
But naturally, if somebody tries to try and play some games with us, which are not in our interest, befitting reply will always be given, which has been given in
Hmm.
recent past also and earlier also. And it will be given in the future also. Let
Definitely.
there be no doubt in anybody's
Hmm.
mind.
How does geopolitics affecting the expenditure we are doing on our defense? Like, is it like the not just expenditure, but everything that we invest in defense, or the way the nation is developing its defense? What's the perspective? Is the perspective या उसकी उस नज़रिए से हम उसको कर रहे हैं that we need our boundaries to be strong, और इसकी वजह से वो चीज़ें होती है कि the world is developing, the world is rising, so therefore we should also. What's
See, expenditure on defense is that depends mainly on threat perception.
on
Threat perception.
threat perception? Okay.
It is never done like this that as America is spending more money, so I should spend.
Hmm.
France is spending so much money, so I should also spend. Or any country which is there somewhere in some other continent,
Hmm.
why we need to get affected? Let them do whatever that is as per their requirement, their own threat perception, their own requirements. We, any country for that matter, will, like I mentioned to you earlier also, will spend money on defense depending on their own requirements, their own geopolitical scenario
Hmm.
around them, who are their enemies, who are their friends, who will come to their aid, who will not come to their aid, or with whom, what are the chances of getting into war, and there are many things.
Hmm.
And the capabilities of those adversaries.
Sure.
Depending on that, we will modernize ourselves, we'll spend money accordingly.
Okay. Now talking about, do you have anything to say about the way Indian foreign ministry is changing, like the face or the image of India or its representation on the global level? It has recently changed quite a bit, and especially after the involvement of Dr. Jaishankar, it has like exponentially changed. Like the way he replies to delegates of other nations, the people are like quite impressed of that. So, how does that like? What's your point on that? Is that changing, and how does it affect India's defense? Like, is there any role of that?
Definitely.
Definitely. How?
Uh, See, he has been a seasoned diplomat,
Hmm.
and his experience as a diplomat, he has been what I see from the newspapers and other things, which everybody sees. He has been using that expertise to the best,
Hmm.
and that makes him. What he does is that he conveys the thought process of our country to the others, to the world, without mincing the word,
Hmm.
without mincing the words. That makes things much easier.
Are the people in defense generally aware of all of these things? Like, uh, one thing, what's happening inside the country politically, and what's happening globally. How is India being showed or represented globally? Like, do they need read news or get the news from like mouth of word and all of that? Does that happen inside the defense organizations?
We are even aware of what is happening in the other countries,
That's cold.
what other countries, armies, air
Hmm.
force, they are doing. We need to keep ourselves aware of those things also.
Is that a connection with the previous question of the spy and all of that? Can we
I think I
correlate?
already answered your question.
Okay, I'll take that. Okay, so overall, how was your experience for this podcast? How did you like it?
I definitely enjoyed talking with you. Definitely enjoyed talking with you, and I think many things which were hitherto not known. When I was a kid,
Hmm.
I didn't have any such forum wherein I could get insight into the defense forces.
Hmm.
I think what we talked, you asked me so many questions, and bombarded me with so many questions about defense. And my answers will definitely open up some information and to the youngsters, to the youth who would like to take this as a profession.
Any message for the youth? Any perspectives you want to share, or any lessons or learnings which you saw that side in that side of the border, and which is not generally graspable by the people, by the youth living here?
No, many people, I find many people want to join the services. Many
Okay.
of them,
Hmm.
I keep meeting many people who want to join the services. And they say कि मैं भी उसमें गया था लेकिन मेरा सिलेक्शन नहीं हुआ. Don't get disheartened. Don't get disheartened. Like I mentioned to you,
Hmm.
everybody is actually not meant for every job,
Hmm.
isn't it? If you are even including, there are people who are into sales and marketing.
Hmm.
I am telling you frankly, I know my limitations. I I personally feel that I'm not meant for that. I may not be able to do. Similarly, everybody cannot join defense forces, but as a good citizen, as a good citizen, you can definitely serve the nation. Do that. That itself is sufficient. That itself is sufficient. It's not necessary that you pick up the gun and go to the border.
Being in your own work profile, you
Own
can
domain,
in own
wherever you are
domain.
working, be a good citizen. That itself will be a big service to the nation. As far as those who are joining, those who aspire to join the defense forces, and those who are capable of getting selected, I can tell you, welcome to this side. It's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful world. Of course, risk is there in everyday life also nowadays. Isn't it?
Definitely. All right, so it was really fun and interesting having a conversation with you. I'll surely try that. We will pull off one more podcast and might talk about some new topics or some different domains.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. It was nice having you on the show. Thank you. Thank you for watching this podcast till the end. अभिजीत सर के साथ ये पॉडकास्ट रिकॉर्ड करने में काफ़ी ज़्यादा मज़ा आया. इट वॉज रियल फन एंड एन अमेजिंग एक्सपीरियंस थ्रू आउट. ही इज़ अ रियली एनर्जेटिक एज वेल एज अ कम्प्लीटली चार्मिंग पर्सन. बहुत ज़्यादा मज़ा है उनके साथ बैठ के उन सभी टॉपिक्स के बारे में बात करके, डिस्कस करके, ऑन द स्क्रीन, ऑफ द स्क्रीन. It was a thrilling experience. And make sure you share this podcast among all of your friends, all of your social groups. And subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, as we will be releasing a new podcast every Monday. So subscribe to it. Stay tuned. See you on the next Monday. Bye bye.